Any compilation of Roy Keane will show bad tackles done by him. One thing I guarantee you're not seeing, though, are the bad tackles that were done on him. He is not known for letting things slide, but I would say 99% of his worst tackles were done as retaliation strikes. Well, premeditated retaliation. The thing I liked about Keane was, if someone did a bad challenge on him, he wouldn't react. Most of the time, he'd just get up, quietly looking at them with a look of, okay, you're on my radar now. Let's see if you want to be there. But one thing is for certain, he knew how to hurt people. Keane says that his toughest opponent in England was Patrick Vieira. An obvious choice, but rewatching his old matches, I actually think it was Vieira's partner, Mr. Ponytail, that gave him his toughest matches. And I'll give you my reasons, but I don't want to get too technical. But Vieira versus Keane, as the years went on, there would be some flashpoints between the two, but ultimately the games themselves were like chess matches. Both would sort of sit off each other. One thing the Ponytail did that Vieira didn't was put pressure on Keane at all times.
I think that should be a throw into Arsenal. I don't think Keane does though, does he?
Before I begin, I know 2 versus 1 is not a fair fight, but the manager wasn't stupid. He'd always play a donkey alongside Keane in these matches, just to even it up. I'm being harsh, but he was a good donkey, but not on their level. And Petit, that's his name, he was the one causing the most problems. Constant pressure. He had Keane treating the ball like it was a hot potato. He wasn't missing most of the passes, but he wasn't dictating play either. Mr. Ponytail, he was underratedly skillful and physically strong. It's a shame we didn't get more battles between the two. And for my money, he was Keane's toughest opponent in England. Why haven't I made this video about Vinnie Jones? Jones was tougher than Roy Keane, but his ability to dish out punishment wouldn't be what qualified him to be on this list. It would be his ability to take punishment. This is the worst tackle I've ever seen. This was a revenge that is disgusting. This gave him 8 stitches in his leg, below the knee.
8 stitches in my leg, just below my knee.
But no, this was a revenge tackle because Jones famously did a bad tackle on this guy in front of Princess Diana. Bravo! Excellent clatter!
He come back, and as he come back down, he elbowed me under the eye, split my eye. Fair play to him.
But once again, those were both bad tackles, but they both get up straight away and continue playing. And that's proper, they're not rolling around on the floor going, to get the other person sent off. That's the referee's job. Leave it to him. So while Vinnie Jones could most certainly dish it out, more importantly, he could take it. But unfortunately for him, he just doesn't have the skill or guile of a Roy Keane or Graham Souness.
Now, when I tell English audiences this, they never quite get it, but we know, don't we? Any Scottish guy with a moustache is fucking psychotic. Remember like Graham Souness back in the day? They all speak as if they're trying to hold back some kind of dreadful memory.
Unlike with Vinnie Jones, who was vicious to make up for a lack of skill, what then was Souness' excuse? Souness was beautiful, could do anything, actually could tackle without demolishing, so what was his excuse? Well, I think a sort of answer came from this interview.
Well, you learn very early on that you have to look after yourself in the game of football. And sometimes going in an open fashion, as you do when you're maybe 19, 20 and you come out, or you come out and you're still lying on the ground at the end of the tackle, I think you soon learn to take care of yourself.
How do you feel if you actually go into a tackle, or being innocuous or whatever, but and the other person ends up getting hurt in it?
Well, you don't take pleasure from it unless there's been a problem with that individual before.
Now, this clip stood out to me for a few reasons. Number one being, I thought this was pretty tame. It's a love bite compared to the other clips. But the guy goes down, Souness got sent off, and the other geezer got carried off. I thought, hey? Come on, it wasn't that bad. But then I saw the pictures. It looks like he got shot. And that's the damage those studs could do to you. And I wondered, in that moment, did Souness regret what he did? Well, there is a part 2 to the picture. Here you go. Souness says that Brian Robson was his toughest opponent, which is handy for me, because...
there's always a chance of a player like Brian Robson getting injured at any point, because just the way he played, the way he played was one of the reasons why I loved him so much.
He would literally just go into everything. He would go into every challenge like it was the last challenge he was ever going to go into in his life.
He couldn't spot danger. He didn't see danger.
He did go into tackles and he was like wincing, because there's no way he should be going into that tackle.
He loved to let people know that he was about. He still tries to do that in the friendly games, and that's the craziest thing, That's just his mentality.
There's certain stuff you go for and there's certain stuff you don't. I don't think he ever learned that. And that was to his credit and to his detriment, because he got some, quite bad injuries.
I would contend, or I would imagine, that if Robson had developed Souness's viciousness, then he would not have got injured as much as he did. It's almost a certainty. And I wonder if that just further illustrates why Souness was the way he was. So with great enthusiasm, I tracked down all the matches I could find where Souness and Robson played against each other. I was expecting fireworks, and not really. Because they were both very skilled, there wasn't really much in the way of physical encounters. There was some flashpoints here and there, but overall, it was just a technical battle. And Souness, for my money, was just a little bit cuter than Robson.
Polio, Souness, and again, opens it out superbly in bed.
So now the question is who would win between Keane and Souness? I'll take them both in the prime. So skinhead Keane versus Souness with a perm. Once again, evenly matched, Keane was deceptively skillful.
In that period, they can certainly give themselves chance of winning this game. If they can't...
United have it back.
And Alden, it just clipped Hippie in the heels.
Brilliant challenge. Two heavyweights together.
Souness's technique was incredible, so for that reason, I can't actually, in my own head, see the two getting into too many exchanges. They were both holding midfield players, and essentially those players always stay behind the ball. So let's scrap the fucking question. Let's ask what I'm really asking. Who would win in a fight? The problem with this question is that whenever I saw Roy Keane throw a punch, he usually missed. Whereas Souness has a KO on his record.
And there's a guy who's man marking me, and we were 1-0 up, and he keeps pulling my shirt and blocking me, and I just got fed up.
Soon he did something off the ball. I don't quite know what it was, but there was a fella on the floor.
He just chinned this fella, bang, broke his jaw, and he was laid out flat on the ground.
I shouldn't have done it, but it was the way it was in those days. Those things happened.
I've already shown you the damage that studs can do to human flesh. This wise guy is about to plant all 12 of his studs into Souness's thigh. But what will happen next?
He really has worked so hard. Tesco's tackle then was very high on Souness's right leg.
So not only is he indifferent to other people's pain, but also to his own, because it would be much the same story in the rematch. The other team didn't let it go. They really hammered him.
Of course, we have to go back out there. 100,000 people in the old Eastern European Stadium, banners, baying for my blood.
Every time Souness got the ball, they must be on 60, 70,000 whistles. But what they didn't realise, Souness loved it.
All very exciting.
And that's what Souness is about.
Jesus. So yeah, I don't actually know. I can't figure him out, but I just don't know how you would beat someone like that. He is very unusual. I can't stop talking about this guy. So what happened to Souness when he retired from playing football, no longer having an outlet for his aggression? He became a manager. He was actually pretty good at it. He managed in Turkey, Galatasaray, and his team got to some final or something, I don't actually know. All I know is that the opposition chairman said this about Souness. What have Galatasaray done employing this cripple? This was a reference to Souness, who had just had 2 open-heart surgery operations and almost died. This didn't go down too well with Souness, as you can imagine. But his team won. That wasn't enough for Graham. He took his team's flag to the centre of the opposition's pitch and shanked it into the ground, not once, but twice, almost handing it over to Satan personally. This caused a riot. 7 people were injured, 1 fatality. And this has gone down in folklore in Turkey. The people there see this image as a territorial conquering, but that wasn't what this was about. This was a personal statement by Souness, and I always find those to be the most powerful messages.